Stayed and covered it if you wished.
10 of 12 are free throws, not 10 of 13.
I congratulated John. I told him before the game I felt so badly for Alex because he appears to be a nice young man. I saw him during his high school days and then played against him the last couple of years, last year and this year. They were far more superior on the defensive end than our offense was. I thought they dictated what we did on the offensive end with their athleticism, their quickness, their strength, their size. We didn't do a very good job of scoring in the half court. We got some breaks and breakaways early and got something out of our break, but we didn't do a very good job offensively in the half court. I thought two big keys for us was the number of turnovers. Can't do that, and then that was one of our emphasis we put up on the wall. We put 3 of them up on the board. Another one was the fact that we wanted to play without fouling. We let them shoot 31 free throws, and I'm not saying that's the referees. I said we fouled them way too much. They were much more aggressive getting the ball to the basket on the drive, and much more aggressive getting the ball to the basket with their big guys going to the basket instead of shooting fadeaways. We got it to 9, and I thought we were going to be right there at the end, and then Steve told me 4 of their next 6 were breaks or lob dunks. It seemed like about 50 of them to me, but we had a couple of turnovers during that stretch as well. It was a man's game out there today, and I thought that their athleticism, their physical play was much more to the task than we were. And again, it's not a negative in any way towards Kentucky. We've got to do a better job of beating the guy to the spot. That's what they do. And it's a physical game, and they just played better and coached better.
If you have questions, please raise your hand. We'll get the wireless microphone to you.
Roy, how big of a bear are they when they're making the 3?
I told John we can cure a lot of people's three-point woes. They just see that like Carolina jersey, everybody makes every one of them. You know, we tried to play a little bit with zone early, and we haven't played any zone this year, and they make, you guys probably have it on the stats or something, but I think they made 2 of their first 3 or 3 of their first 4, something like that. But it's, we didn't do a good enough job in the zone. We didn't get there and guard them. Texas played them zone, but they challenged a lot of those. I think they made their first 3 in the Texas game with less than 3 minutes to play. But Texas challenged those 3s much out of the zone much better than we did. And then when we went man-to-man, the dribble penetration really hurt us, and they pitched out. And they made some of them. You know, sometimes guys don't make them in an open gym, but they made them today with a lot of people in the stands.
Roy, how much can Cauley-Stein in a quick burst really change sort of the energy of the game with, you know, a dunk, a steal, a block, whatever?
He's pretty doggone effective. You know, I watched him in the Texas game, and I watched it over last night, and he was unbelievable in that game. You know, it's hard to imagine he was a wide receiver in high school. But he, as you said, he affects the game in every way. He blocks shots, he makes steals, he gets follow dunks, he gets dunks when guards penetrate, they throw it up around the rim, he goes and gets it. But he is a complete player, and you look at it, he affected the game drastically and only took 9 shots. I think in the Texas game, it was probably about the same thing. But they are very gifted. John does a great job with them. He's got everybody buying into the sharing the minutes, sharing the basketball. You know, they have 19 assists, 15 turnovers, and an up and down game, and we're trying to press and trying to do some things. And we have 13 assists and 18 turnovers. Their defense was just so much stronger, and I think that was the dominating thing in the game. And Willie is probably spearheads all of that.
Roy, yesterday Kentucky seemed stunned by the whole Alex Poythress injury. I'm wondering if there's anything you look for early in the game to see maybe they're affected by that adversely.
You know, there's a couple of trains of thought. Coach Smith, I used to always think if you lose a guy, that next game you're going to be so much better because everybody's going to try to pull for, you know, give a little more effort and play better. But over long term, nobody's going to be better if you lose one of your better players. But I think from reading all the comments in this morning's paper, he's the kind of kid that I think he is from a distance, so it had to hurt everybody. And at the same time, the comments that they made about him would make me think that he might have been challenging their rear ends in the locker room before the game. Who knows? But it's a loss because he really is a gifted player. They've got some depth, which is going to help them get through all the things, but you hate, like I said, you hate for something like that to happen to the kid.
Why was Marcus able to get more looks in the second half? And if you're going to look at a positive, we saw some signs of second half Marcus from last year.
Yeah, he made some shots. You know, we've been talking about his shot a little bit. There's nothing mechanically wrong with his shot. Probably needs to get his feet set a little bit more. And but 4 times today he went up in the air to shoot the ball, and their defense was so good he had to pass it. But he did get a couple of looks, and he made a couple of tough ones. We need him to shoot the ball like that, but we need some other guys to step up and make shots also. I mean, we shoot 56% in the first half, 54% in the first half, and then you're not going to beat Kentucky. Kentucky, when they're a real good team, shooting 38% in the second half.
Roy, does a game like this kind of expose any physical limitations you guys have in terms of size and strength?
Well, the team we're playing is pretty doggone physically imposing, whoever they play. You know, I said in the press conference yesterday, somebody said that Portland Trail Blazers are the only team in America that was taller. And so physically, they're going to show a lot of people some limitations, but you've got to try to counter that with something that you do well yourselves. And we didn't do a very good job of sharing the ball and spreading the floor and being patient. We took some of the worst shots today that we've taken all year, but I think it's because their pressure took us out of our comfort zone.
Coach, Bryce gave you a good first half earlier to your right.
Yeah.
Did they do anything to limit his effectiveness in the second half?
Well, they gave us some good looks early because it was on the break and a couple out-of-bounds plays and things like that. In the second half, I think he made 1 field goal, I think is all. But their big guys are good. They had 12 steals and 5 block shots, and a lot of that was their big guys. I saw Willie diving on the floor. I saw Dakar diving on the floor. Bryce did hurt them in the first half, and most of it was in the open court.
Roy, you've had some teams with a lot of good players on them, and they've managed to handle the minutes and everything. What's the key to having a lot of depth and having guys accept roles like that?
You know, it may be even more of a challenge for John than anything that I've gone through. I've always said I could get 9 guys enough playing time, 8 easily, and 9 guys enough playing time to keep them happy. You know, and John was trying to get 10, and you know, I don't know what he's going to do because that's the reason they pay him all that money to make those big decisions like that. But you have to have special kids, I'd say, is the first thing. That they have to be concerned about the name on the front of the jersey. They have to be willing to give in. I've got wonderful kids in my locker room, and we've got to be concerned about the name on the front of the jersey a little more. But if I had to pick one thing, I would, of course, would say the size or athleticism. I guess that's 2 things. But the next thing that's most impressive about John's club to me is how unselfish they appear to be. That's a pretty doggone good trait. And when you add the size and athleticism and add their willingness to work really hard defensively, now you're painting a very complete picture. But I think it's the character of the kids, and they trust John, John's staff. I mean, those guys have all been around for a while, and I think their kids trust the staff that if you give in of your own selfishness and become more unselfish with playing time, with shots and everything, at the end, the players will be taken care of. I really believe that. Our 2009 team, all those guys tested the waters, and they came back and just trusted each other, and everybody worked out okay. So I think they've done a nice job with good kids.
Coach, before the game, you said you put 3 keys on the board: turnovers, playing without fouling. What was that 3rd key?
It must not have worked because I can't freaking remember it. That's just being honest. You know, give me a couple of seconds right now. I'm too ticked off to think about any bullshit like that. Anybody else got anything? Excuse my language.